miles away. I was speechless when we first met. Yeah, you took the pain away, didn't mind my scars, mend my broken heart. Life was dull until you came. Now I see in color again. It could rain, I don't mind if it pours, 'cause I'm right next to you. Come rain or come shine, I don't mind, 'cause I'm right next to you. It's you, right next to you. To you. Next to you. Next to you. Next to you. Right next to you. To you. Next to you. Next to you. Next to you. Never thought I'd feel this high. The sky has never felt this close, and when you kiss me, I can't believe that I am yours and you are mine. You took the pain away, didn't mind my scars, mend my broken heart. Life was dull until you came. Now I see in color again. It could rain, I don't mind if it pours, 'cause I'm right next to you. To you. Come rain or come shine, I don't mind, 'cause I'm right next to you. It's you, right next to you. To you. Next to you. Next to you. Next to you. Who would have thought I'd be up on cloud nine? I would never take our love for granted. Love how you make me feel alive when you're with me. Took the pain away, didn't mind my scars, mend my broken heart. It could rain, I don't mind if it pours, 'cause I'm right next to you. To you. Come rain or come shine, I don't mind, 'cause I'm right next to you. It's you, right next to you. To you. Next to you. Next to you. Next to you.
I've seen those faces, I've heard all the lies, but you ain't gazing on someone in denial. 'Cause you want dollar bills right now, but you gotta work real hard. I know you want it to be easy, so let your guard down. And I said, see it in your mind, trust that you have what it takes inside, 'cause you can make it too. If not says who, yeah, you can make it too. If not says who, you can make it. You had great patience, but something knocked you out. You felt your limitations and filled your mind with doubt. You wanna stay chill right now, and don't let your eyes off the prize. I know you want it to be easy, so let your guard down. And I said, make it too. If not, says who? Yeah, you can make it too. If not, says who? You can make it. And I said, see it in your mind, trust that have what it takes inside, 'cause you can make it too. If not, says who? Yeah, you can make it too. If not, says who? You can make it. If not, says who? Yeah, you can make it too. If not, says who? You can make it.
Hello, kidney warriors. James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach, and this is Dadvice TV Live. Now, for those of you who are new, go ahead and say new in the comments. That way we can all get to know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at, and what brought you here. Do you have kidney issues, or does someone you know have kidney issues? Be great to meet you and find that out. All right, so for those of you who are new, let me tell you a little bit about myself real quick. My name is James, and I am not a doctor. What I am is a kidney patient. Almost 2 years ago, next month, I spent a week in the ICU where I discovered I had kidney issues. I had some pretty bad issues. As a matter of fact, I was in stage 5 kidney failure. And the nephrologist there told me, James, you need dialysis and a transplant. Well, it's been 2 years almost. I never went on dialysis. I never got a transplant. What I did do was I made diet and lifestyle changes, working with my healthcare team, my doctors, and most importantly, a renal dietitian. I learned about nutrition and how to eat so that I reduce the burden on my kidneys. Now, I'm no longer stage 5. I've got tons of energy. As a matter of fact, I'm not even stage 4. I am stage 3. But most importantly, I do not have a single symptom. I am loving life all because of diet and lifestyle changes. Now, there's no magic pill. My kidneys, they're still shot. They're no better than they were. They're still shriveled up and scarred. But I've learned to live with it, and then we kind of help each other out. I don't eat the wrong foods, and my kidneys filter my blood and keep me feeling great and doing better. Now, the key to all this was working with a renal dietitian. And that's who we have with us today. Back with us after a move from Hawaii all the way over here to just down the road practically from me in Kentucky. Go ahead and say hello to Jen Hernandez, our renal dietitian. Hey, Jen.
Hey, James. Hey, everybody. I am so happy to be back in a new surrounding, but nonetheless, very excited. And it feels like I am back home just because I'm back here with you guys.
Now, for those that are new, what is a renal dietitian and what do you do?
So, as a renal dietitian, I am a registered dietitian, meaning I've gone through my undergrad, I've completed my schooling, I completed an internship where I learned about becoming a dietitian, and then I took an exam to pass my test and become a registered dietitian in the United States. Now, the renal part of that means I did an additional 2,000 hours of work solely with people who have kidney disease and kidney health issues. And then I took another exam to prove that I knew what I was talking about related to kidney nutrition. So that is where and how I can use the title as being board certified in renal nutrition and as a registered dietitian. And that is what I do for a living is I help people with kidney disease online through my virtual practice. And we work together to do everything possible to keep their kidneys healthy and prevent the need for dialysis or any kind of decrease in their kidney function. And I'm just so proud and honored to be able to help people with this and see how so many people have been able to make and see great results and feel better with their kidney health based off of just the things that we talk about. And it's such an honor, really.
Now, you have a great Facebook group called Plant Powered Kidneys. I put the title right up there for those who are not yet following Jen's great Facebook page. Not only is it full of great information directly from a renal dietitian, someone who knows what she's talking about, she does videos throughout the week. Just got done with a big move from Hawaii down here to Kentucky. How did the move go before we jump into today's topic?
Well, we're still technically in the process. We have a temporary living situation. We have a little apartment for my husband and my dog and I while we were waiting to find a home here in Kentucky. So there is just that kind of ongoing house hunting and figuring out what's going to work for us. So we have our temporary situation for the next month or two. It's really hard to say, but so far, only minor issues that I would say. The jet lag, probably the biggest one for me to get used to the time change.
6 hours for you.
Yeah. That was a nice week. That was a nice week of adjustment.
Yeah, normally, and Judy asked, did she catch a live show? Yes, you did, Judy. Normally, right now, it's 6 p.m. Ohio time, Eastern, and it's lunchtime for Jen.
Yeah.
So now it's dinner time with that time change.
Yeah. So this has been a bit of a shift, and also the daylight savings. I grew up in Arizona. That's where I'm originally from, and then living in Hawaii for the past 3 years, we never had to do daylight savings. So coming here already, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're struggling to wake up at like 7 a.m. and it's still like almost dark outside. So, wow, it makes a difference. And I am so excited to hit that daylight savings time.
Yeah, well, the next one, it moves late. Next one's the good one where we get more sleep. I can't wait for
Fall
it.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we've got so many people that are so glad to have you back here today. So we're going to jump right on into our topic. So we're going to be talking about something that all of you are seeing everywhere you go. You go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you go to the hardware store. Piles and piles of candies, treats, pumpkin pies, all sorts of delicious and tasty things. And we're going to see those for like the next 3.5 months all over the place. So we're going to talk about, can you eat any of them? How much can you have? Which ones can you avoid? I think you guys are going to be surprised. You do get to enjoy the holiday treats within limits, just like pretty much everything else. So let me bring up my questions here. I was too busy going through all the comments over here. And we had somebody from Washington. Hey, welcome. I think it was a new person. I'm formerly from Seattle. Still a Seattle Seahawks fan. Woohoo! Go Seahawks. 5-0. This is a great year for us. Every game, though, comes down to the last minute. Oh,
dramatic.
Sitting on the edge of my seat,
dramatic.
Yelling, moving all over the place, getting some exercise in. Now, so we'll jump right into the good stuff. First holiday up is Halloween. And all Halloween is, to most kids, including my daughter, and that's her birthday, October 31st, candy.
Yep.
Oh, my kids love the candy. I love to give candy out. I try not to eat any last year. I was bad. I didn't eat just a little. I ate quite a bit. But how, is candy okay this season? We're going to see it all the time. Thanksgiving, end of the year, New Year's, Christmas, everything. Is it okay to have a little candy or some?
Yeah, I definitely think it's okay to have some candy. If you think about even that mentality, so like James, just in that example that you gave, when you said, I really tried not to have any, and you hold back and you restrict that whole thought, that whole group from your diet, all it turns into, just like anything else you pull back from entirely, it turns into, but I want it, I want it, I want it. And then it just becomes this like crazy craving that just won't go away. So right away, when you realize that, yes, you can have candy, hopefully it takes a little weight off your shoulders when you think about it's okay to have. So you guys know a while back, we talked about fast food and we said, it's okay to have, this is real life and it happens. It's about the choices that you make. So this is that same kind of conversation, but really just in it with a different subject, a different topic, which is candy. And something else to think about too, there are some of the seasonal candies that are really mostly only available, like candy corn, the candy pumpkins, like the really Halloween kind of candies. Although I feel like candy corn, I think you can find it year round anyway. I'm pretty sure you can.
You always can at my house. That's the one that no one wants.
I wonder who's watching, if they're like pro candy corn or anti candy corn.
Yeah, let us know. Because it's funny. Some people absolutely love it. And the only way I can eat it is with peanuts. And I don't know if it's a Southern thing or what. I put some peanuts in there, gets a little bit of salt.
Salty. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Then I'll eat candy corn.
Okay, yeah. I grew up eating it from like the 3 different colors. I would bite it off by the color blocks. And it's just sugar, so I think it's good. But
they all taste the same, I think, all the colors. But I used to eat it like that, or try to make like vampire teeth when I was a kid.
Yeah, so there's fun and there's good memories with those kind of candies. So, when we're thinking about this stuff, just putting that permission back into the conversation and thinking about it. Good, pro candy corn. Awesome. Okay.
Let me tell you something. I can see the chats that I haven't displayed yet. It's all pro candy corn.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, James. Candy corn for the win.
It is. Well, by a landslide.
Yeah. Well, candy corn, for all you candy corn lovers out there, just like me, that is a safe, kidney-friendly candy. There are definitely kinds that you want to be able to say that you can enjoy. Again, it's also going to be in moderation, and we'll talk about that. And then there's going to be kinds to be aware of. But the whole reason I kind of brought this up is to talk about how there's some candies that might be more seasonal, but then there's other candies like candy bars. All they do is change the packaging. They're the packaging, and they make it look like it's a limited food. They make it look like, oh, it's only available for the season, but it's actually year round. Like if you think of all the candy bars, all of the fun size candy bars, like they're around literally all the time. Like you said, James, in the hardware store, like they're everywhere. So this is not an issue of it's only going to be here for this time. And then even some of the specialty ones, I'm thinking like the Reese's pumpkin thing. They have that, but then come next season, they're going to do the Reese's tree. And then come later on, they're going to do the Reese's egg. So they
Yep.
just change the shape for the season. It's the same thing. So it's always around. All of this candy is always around, but these companies are so smart about marketing. They just
Mhm.
change it and make it look like it's a limited time offer. And instinctively, we think, oh my gosh, I've got to get it now. I've got to stock up. I've got to get all of this stuff because it's going to go away. But it
Exactly.
never goes away. It never goes away.
As we call it FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Exactly. Exactly. And marketers know this so well. They know that they can put that at you and really feed off of that fear that you have, that you don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss. I think you're going to see this now that we're talking about it. Every commercial, everything you hear about, you hear, oh, for a limited time only, this sale is only good until this time. They always set an expiration on it because they want you to make a move. They want you to decide to go out and get it. And when you're in the store, that's right away that you're going to jump on that. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there really quick because that also kind of helps take away that thought of, oh, but I can only get it now and I've got to stock up while I can. And again, taking that weight off your shoulders of, no, it's actually around all the time. Don't worry. You can have it whenever you want because it's always going to be there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I try not to keep it at home. And if I do want a treat, I go out and I get just enough and have that only. Because if it's laying around the house, it's easy to be like, I'll have a little bit here, I'll have a little bit there. All of a sudden, you're like, it's the end of the day, and you're like, uh-oh, I just ate 3 candy bars, or something like that. So
Yeah, we can get carried away.
yeah, speaking of how much candy is okay? You kind of hinted to it earlier.
So when we talk about the amount, I like to refer to the American Heart Association's recommendations for added sugar. So this is for added sugar from every kind of source for the entire day. So if you put sugar in your coffee, it counts for that. If you have a yogurt that is has added sweetener to it, as added sugar, you would count that as well. So for the added sugar in your diet, for women, it's 6 teaspoons a day, which is about 100 calories. For men, it is 9 teaspoons a day, which is about 125 calories, I want to say, 150 calories. So those are your ballpark ranges for what they recommend that is cardiovascularly healthy for us. And this is kind of like the general guideline for across the board. So 100 calories a day for women, 150 calories a day for men, coming from that added sugar. So if you're looking at some of those fun size bars or something like that, take a look at the calories and the grams of sugar, and that will help give you an idea of what you should be at.
I'm gonna grab a snack I have here and see what it has in it for sugar.
Okay. Oh, and I
Let's
should
look.
clarify, the teaspoons. It is 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon.
Wow, when you
wanna double
put it
check
that
that.
way, so I was thinking, 6 teaspoons doesn't sound like much, but if it's 4 grams for a teaspoon, wait, that's not a
So
lot of sugar a day.
it's not. It's not. So if you see something that has 40, I'm going to do easy math here. Again, I need a calculator normally. So 40 grams of added sugar, okay? 40 grams of added sugar is listed on the nutrition information. Divide it by 4 to get the teaspoon. So a 40-gram added sugar item would be 10 teaspoons of sugar.
Oh,
Now,
I want to say
I
that's a
dare
Hershey
you.
bar, isn't it?
I mean, my husband showed me a Dr. Pepper the other day, and that was, I like my floor dropped, or my jaw dropped to the floor. I was so surprised. It was like 70 grams for the soda.
And
Yeah, it
I
was
used
insane.
to drink a 2 liter of that with a meal. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Just
yeah,
liquid sugar.
yep. So when you're looking at the calories, when you're looking at the added sugar, take that amount in the nutrition information, divide by 4, and that gives you your teaspoon amount. So for women, 6 teaspoons a day. For men, 9 teaspoons a day. Okay, and that's like
Woo.
the upper limit.
Wow, I did not realize it was that there was that much sugar in stuff. Holy cow. For some reason, I guess I just never paid attention to it. Wow. Woo.
I think I do. I kind of blame the nutrition label for this because it's not in grams. We don't necessarily look at that.
Right.
That doesn't comprehend to us, right? We think calories or the teaspoon sometimes, but they don't list it in the label that way. So it's hard for us to look at something and make that like split decision on if this is okay or not, because no one's going to walk around besides me doing these conversions. So
Yeah. So most candy that comes to my mind
mhm.
pretty much is your daily limit of sugar. And we're talking about all the meals you eat, not just in a snack.
Right.
So what kinds of candies might be better for us to choose that we can fit into our diet without blowing our entire daily sugar allotment in one little treat?
So as far as when it comes to kidney healthy or kidney friendly candy, I always this like think of this umbrella concept of the fruit flavored candy, the fruity candies. Okay.
Hmm.
Those kind of candies are going to be the ones that are the lowest in potassium and phosphorus, compared to if we think of the other side as really chocolate based candies. So Starburst, jelly beans, gumdrops, the cinnamon candies, the hard candies. I'm trying to think of like
I'll tell you,
taffies and
I definitely love the hard candies because I can pop like a butterscotch, and I usually go with
mhm.
low sugar, not a sugar free, because the sugar free ones are great if you're constipated. If you're not, you don't. I don't want those ones.
Yep.
But I love the hard candies because I can pop one in my mouth, and I just got to resist the urge to crunch it, and it lasts, which is great. That flavor keeps coming out for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So like lollipops. What are the ones, those lollipops that have the gum in the middle? Not Tootsie Rolls, but the lollipops with the gum. They're like charm
Yeah,
ups.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
thinking
Blow
of.
pops, I think they're
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So those ones are fruity based and there's gum in there. So that's kind of candy that is going to last a long time for you. So that's another factor when it comes to candy, is that if you can have something that you can enjoy longer, it's going to be more satisfying for you too. So
Yep.
yeah, Jolly Ranchers, the other hard candies. I mean, there's so many different options. Another category would be the sour candies, or like even the sweet and sour kind. And an added bonus that I like with that whole group of candy is that the sour candies will help with dry mouth. And if you're on a fluid restriction, that is great. Charms. Thank you, Beverly.
Yep.
Charms.
Barely
That's what it
got it.
is. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. I think it is Blow Pop too. It's probably the brand or something. Okay. So with the sour candies, I love that it helps with dry mouth. It helps with fluid restriction. So I'm kind of for kidneys, I'm a little more preferential to those kinds because it's kind of like a 2-for-1. You get to enjoy candy.
Whoops. Oops. Hold on. There, she's back. Hold on. Her internet cut out just what you're muted. Yep. There's a button to unmute yourself. Let's see. Did that do it? You're muted still? You're still muted? If you need to, disconnect and come back in, and that will unmute it for sure. Because it may be muted in the phone. Let's give her a moment right here. I'm going to pop back onto just me. Boom. All right. And I see a lot of people are asking, what about chocolate? That's like 2 questions later on my list for Jen. Now, hold on. She's going to call back in. She's in a hotel right now doing all of this off of her phone because her internet isn't that great. All right. Assign. Boom. Let's see. All right. It looks like you're good.
Are we good?
Yes, we are good.
Okay. Okay. So I was telling James before we actually got onto the live that the internet here is not fantastic. So I'm on my phone, and the realtor that I've been working with trying to find a house decided to call me right now. So I was like, no,
Oh,
decline.
that's why it muted. She got
Yeah.
a
So
phone
I
call
basically
come in.
shut everything down. So hopefully she doesn't try to call me again, and I'm just going to be like, hold on, I'm working.
Now, is it an iPhone?
It is.
So you should be able to, when the call thing comes down, you should be able to swipe it up with your finger, and hopefully that
I
takes
hope
care
so.
of it.
Okay. Hopefully she doesn't. Hopefully she leaves me alone for a little bit, and then I can get back to
Yeah.
that. Anyway,
So you're talking about the sour kidneys or the sour candies
yes.
because it's great for fluid restriction, gets your mouth going,
Yes.
makes you not thirsty, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
that was one of the things when I worked in the dialysis clinics when I gave candy for Halloween. Because again, I'm not a horrible person. I'm a normal, regular, nice person. I give candy for Halloween. I loved giving sour candies and talking about how that's really actually helpful for them to have. So if there's something that you can have that's even more beneficial, then I think that's a win-win.
Awesome. Yes, and for Halloween, I always give out candy. As a matter of fact, I make it a point because I have 2 young kids and I want them to have lots of friends. I always give out the biggest and best
Oh,
every year.
nice.
So we give them a choice. You get the giant size candy bars, or you get to pick a toy, like a squishy or something
Wow.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then the small kids love grabbing the toys. The bigger kids are like, whoa, giant candy bars. Yeah.
Win-win also.
So we had a few questions. What about like creamy, like the creamy caramels and like
Yeah,
toffee or stuff like that?
those are usually okay. You might want to check for, again, this I guess is probably a blanket statement for all of the candies, really, but check for any added phosphorus. So we've talked about this before. Look in
Mm.
the ingredients list. Um, Make sure there's nothing PHOS in the ingredients. Make sure that's completely gone. Also look for potassium additives. That's becoming a more common thing that you want to be careful of. Again, it's absorbed highly and it's contributing to potassium, which we're already talking about balancing. So let's not throw that into the mix. But the toffees, the caramels, however you say it, those are still something that you could definitely include.
Yep. And what about like the marshmallow candies? There's lots of those for the holidays.
Yeah.
That seems to be the one that you can't always get all year, but if you look,
Well,
you really can. It's just in a different shape
yeah.
and color.
Exactly, because they do like the marshmallow uh, pumpkins, but then they
Yep.
also do
The green
peeps, right?
trees. Yeah, and
The
then there's the
trees. Yeah,
peeps, the hearts.
yeah. The hearts for Valentine's. Yeah, you guys, every season, all they do is change the shape. They cut it into a different thing and they change the packaging and it's the same thing. And these companies are not losing money each season.
Yeah.
So they're doing fine.
Any other candy types that are, kind of on the better choice for us that, not as much sugar that we can fit in there?
So, Nougat, I did a post if anybody follows me on Instagram or on social media or sees them in Plant Powered Kidneys in the Facebook group, I did a post today comparing nougat versus chocolate. So, nougat
Ooh.
is a more kidney friendly option. And that would be something that is a great option when it comes to a more kidney friendly candy or kidney friendly treat. And I think nougat, maybe it's a little bit more like holiday type season, I would say a little, because I can't think. I mean, there's nougat in candy bars. I don't know. What do you think, James?
I love nougat.
Nougat. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, my accent keeps coming through. Now, what about candies that we should probably maybe stay away from? Are there any that are like a definite no? Besides cotton candy, because that's pure sugar, a
Okay.
gigantic thing of cotton candy.
Oh, I don't know. I like cotton candy, but okay.
Oh, my kids
Um,
absolutely love it, and I feel so bad paying $5 for a thing of cotton candy that you can squish down and fit in your hand.
Oh, but that's the funnest part. So if I was with your family, I would be with your kids being like, let's do it. Okay. So for the candies to be careful of when it comes to your kidney health, number one is chocolate. And a lot of people know this. Chocolate is high in potassium, high in phosphorus. It's very high in phosphorus. And that's why a little can go a long way, even when it comes to changing your labs or affecting maybe some of the goals that you have for your kidney health. So that's kind of like a bigger group, really. We think about the different chocolate bars and candy bars and chocolate covered bars and chocolate covered peanuts and chocolate covered raisins and chocolate covered everything, that's going to be automatically a bump up in your potassium and your phosphorus amount in your diet. So all of those chocolate things, be really careful of. And then the one that's also second place, but also mostly tied, are the peanut butter candies. So to be really careful, I know. And
Those are my two favorites, Reese's and Butterfinger.
A piece of me dies inside when I say it. So I'm there. I feel for you,
And I haven't had either of those in 2 years, but those are my favorites.
There's definitely some great, I mean, you're in Ohio, you've got to have recipes for Buckeyes. Exactly.
Yes, peanut butter dipped in chocolate.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. So there's some ways that you can make it yourself and hopefully make it, if you're using a good kidney-friendly peanut butter, that you can maybe modify it, make it something that you feel is a little bit better for you. Again, it's still a treat in moderation, all that kind of stuff, all those disclaimers that we said before.
Yep.
But, it's a great option as a replacement, because the kinds from the candy companies, again, can be loaded with additives. And another thing with the peanut butter flavored candies, peanut brittle especially, is like so high in sodium. It's so high in salt.
Ooh.
And we don't typically think of that when we think of candy. We think of sugar, but companies, again, know when they're making these recipes for their candy, you've got to balance the sugar with the saltiness. Like you said, with the peanuts and the candy corn, that's how it really satisfies us. So they know that for some of these candies, adding a little bit more salt can make the flavor that much more impactful. So keep an eye on the sodium content, especially for the peanut butter, peanut kind of candies, because it can also be on, I'm not going to say high, but higher compared to other candies.
Yep. And I see some people ask you a question, and I know this one. Really importantly. Licorice. Black licorice is a definite no for kidney patients. Right. You can be seriously ill from not eating too much. I believe it's 6 ounces over like 3 days or something like that. Black licorice and star fruit are the two 100% no items for kidney patients. If you have a food list of things you're not allowed to eat, those are the two that I know of. And my doctors always remind me, no licorice, because I love black licorice. Oh, my Australian black licorice. Oh, I used to import it all the time and just bags of it. And even for healthy people, you can eat too much black licorice and have problems. Now, the other kinds, they're not real licorice.
Right. Yeah. Like the red vines and all the other kind like that. And there's even other companies like, I want to say it was maybe Starfruit that has come up with their own type of licorice, but it's like Starburst flavored or something like that. But again, yeah. But it's a fruity flavored, fruity flavored treat that is going to be more acceptable than the other kind. And especially, like you said, the licorice, that's something to be really careful of. Black licorice is like an herb basically, and it's contraindicated for CKD. So as a supplement, as an herbal remedy, not a good idea. And when you have black licorice, they use it in the candy. And again, not a good idea. But the red stuff, that one is okay to have.
Yeah, it just looks like licorice. It's not real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can get into the topic of chocolate and what is real chocolate compared to not real chocolate, because so many candy bars that are saying that they're chocolate bars are really mostly sugar and milk and a little bit of cocoa.
Yep. Now, a lot of people have asked in here, is dark chocolate or carob chocolate better than just regular chocolate?
So with the chocolates that are really coming from like actual cacao, coming from the plant, first of all, to classify as dark chocolate, it's got to be at least 70% cacao. So it has to be the majority of it actually being chocolate and not coming from milk or fat content. So that being said, when we talk about cocoa, it's going to be higher in potassium, higher in phosphorus naturally. I was looking into some of the research behind this idea about dark chocolate being okay and thinking, okay, dark chocolate related to kidneys. There was a study done where they took basically an antioxidant from dark chocolate and they gave it to a group of people on dialysis. And oftentimes, just as an aside, when you look at research when it comes to CKD, very often they will test with a group of people on dialysis because it is the most controlled type of group of CKD. They're getting treatments, they're monitored by a healthcare team. Anything diet related is still kind of iffy because they can go home and do whatever they want. But
Right.
in the dialysis clinic, they did give this drink that had the antioxidant, the flavanol of the cocoa in there, and they found that it could be helpful for their cardiovascular health. But this is not something that turns into, okay, now I should have dark chocolate because it's great for, the study said the antioxidant was so good. They took the extract of it, put it in a drink, and had them try it. So it was, again, very, very specific to a specific population that was being closely monitored, and their labs are tracked very frequently.
Okay,
So
the reason
when
I'm kind of laughing there is because I get so many emails every day where someone found a study and it says something like, hey, they did this and it appears it may help. And usually the results are needs more research.
Yes.
But then they extract it incorrectly and think, oh, I'm going to start eating this or taking that and it's going to help. And a lot of these are just like what you said. It's a very specific type of person. These are those on dialysis or on the machines or, being tracked very closely. And that was an extract. They weren't sitting there just enjoying Hershey bars and smiling because they're getting better.
Right. And it wasn't even like they got an ounce of chocolate a day or something. And even those kind of dietary studies are so hard to determine if it's related to that one ingredient, that one thing they were given compared to everything else they ate in the day and everything else they did in the day and everything else in their health history. Like nutrition studies are very, very hard. And more often than not, you will come across that little caveat in the very bottom. Further studies need to be completed. Further research is needed to prove this. And that's really where it gets into the challenges of nutrition science and science in general, that a lot of people don't want to repeat a test to verify it. They want to do their own study. They want to try their own thing. So that it's just, we can get into this whole tangent about like nutritional science and the struggles there. But yeah, that is something important to realize. If you guys do see a study that says, oh, this is great and this is great, like, has it been verified? Is it really backed? Has it been checked? Are there other studies to back it up and give the same results? Or is it one study that was tried with a specific group that could be very different? I mean, if you're looking to stay off of dialysis, that's a different diet than the people that are on dialysis. So those recommendations are different too.
Yep.
So definitely something to pay attention to.
Now, one question that's come up a lot based on one thing you said, you mentioned kidney-friendly peanut butter. And we talked about this maybe a month ago or so in one of our older videos. Yeah. What is kidney-friendly peanut butter?
Oh, I love this. Okay. So really when I think about kidney-friendly peanut butter, any kidney-friendly nut butter, to be honest, is going to be a single ingredient butter. And that is, it only has peanuts. So when you look at that ingredient list on the back of the jar, if it says peanuts, palm oil, coconut oil, some other oil, salt, cinnamon, like all this other stuff that they put into it, like, okay, so it's peanuts with a bunch of other stuff. You can make peanut butter at home with a good blender, like a high-powered blender. You can make almond butter at home. You can make this stuff at home with a good blender. And all you would do is literally dump a bunch of nuts into the blender and let it go. And that's it. And that is a great option for a kidney-friendly peanut butter, because the not kidney-friendly peanut butters are the ones that are really high in salt and really high in added fats. Peanuts are already naturally high in fats, good, healthy fats, but it's when they start adding a bunch of other fats to it that don't make it as kidney-friendly anymore, plus that salt. So you can always add salt. If you think about adding peanut butter to anything, there's going to be other components that will include salt. Even when you make a sandwich, your bread has salt in it. So there's going to be other ways. And if you really wanted, you could put a sprinkle of salt on your peanut butter. That's totally fine. It's still going to be less than what a lot of companies add on their own side. So for a kidney-friendly peanut butter, for a kidney-friendly nut butter, look for the ones that only have the one ingredient, and that is the nut that is on the label.
Yeah, and Star says her blender even has a nut setting. So when I go grocery shopping, I read all labels, and I look for the peanut butter. It'll say natural usually. And I look for the ones that have a little bit of oil sitting at the top. I'm like, that's the real kind that you got to mix it up when you open it. And I flip around and look, the number one ingredient, peanuts. And then it may say salt, and I look at how much sodium there is per serving. And I kind of shop based on that. But it's easy to find some pure peanut butter, or pure peanut butter, not all those extra ingredients on it.
Yeah. Even I will say to be careful with it, even the ones that do label themselves as natural, they could still add a lot of stuff to it.
Oh yeah, you gotta read. You gotta flip it around.
Yeah, you gotta read the label. So don't assume that, or if they said organic peanut butter or something like that, like it could just mean all the things they put in there were certified organic, but it's still a lot of stuff in there. So
exactly.
Yeah, be careful with that. The shorter the ingredient list, the easier.
Now there was one I wanted to grab. One comment here. It was from someone new. Oh, Les. She wrote, I know bananas are bad. What other fruit should I avoid? Les, bananas aren't bad. It's all portion control. Now we think a lot of the time, especially if you go in the Facebook groups, but not plant-powered kidneys. That's a good one. But a lot of those groups go like, oh, bananas have potassium. They're bad. Don't touch them. You know, like you're going to turn into a pile of water or something like that, like the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz if you touch a banana. You can have bananas. You just can't have too much. You need to look at how much potassium kind of you're allowed. You have an allowance, and you eat half a banana, that's going to eat part of your allowance. You eat a whole banana, eats more of it. Now, you can't be eating a whole bunch of bananas all day long, but don't worry about bananas. They're bananas, avocado, oranges,
potatoes.
You can't have too much. You can work them into your diet. You can work almost anything. It's portion control. And when you work with a renal dietitian, they'll talk to you and learn, what do you like to eat? What do you not like to eat? You know, when I sit down with mine, she's always encouraging me to eat fish, but she knows I don't like fish. She's pushing me to try salmon. I got to try it. She says I'll like it. And a lot of other people say I'll like it. But it's all portion control. A renal dietitian will help you to where food and eating isn't scary anymore. You actually look forward to it. And when you go out to events, especially around the holidays, you know, once we get past COVID and we're all going back out to events again, you're not going to be worried that you have to fill up before you go there because you can't eat anything. It's all portion control. So I wanted to definitely bring that up while we were on here for her, so she didn't leave still thinking bananas were bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think I know we've done at least one episode we talked entirely about potassium.
Yep.
So I'm sure if you guys search, James, if you search Dadvice and looked for potassium there, I bet you'd probably find us.
Yep. Well, if they go to dadvicetv.com, there's a menu option that says live shows. Pick Jen. All of her videos are there. You'll see the potassium one.
Oh, I have a tab?
You have a whole page,
Aww.
a gigantic page, and it's got links to your website, jenhernandez.com. It's got links to the Plant Powered Kidneys Facebook group, which everyone should be in. Lots of great information there. Another thing before we get, because we're getting closer to the top of the hour. Now, with holidays here, one of the other things that I'd like to talk about, my favorite holiday snack, and it's really not a snack to most people, pumpkin pie. Oh, I love pumpkin pie. I haven't had it in a long time, but guys, back in the day, here's how much I love pumpkin pies. You guys probably remember that TV show, The Biggest Loser. I remember, and I'm still overweight, but being way, way overweight, sitting there in my living room with a Costco pumpkin pie, and they're giant, they're big, and several tubs of whipped cream just poured on top of it. Me, the pumpkin pie, a fork, watching The Biggest Loser. And I remember eating it going, I can do what they do. I can lose weight as I'm eating this pumpkin pie. That's
the pumpkin pies are good though.
That's how much I love pumpkin pie. What about kidney patients? Can we have pumpkin pie?
Absolutely. So I will put the caveat in there again, just like I'm always going to put this caveat, and I'm not going to not ever say it. So pumpkin is something that's considered higher in potassium. So you want to be careful with that, just like we're talking about with the other foods in your diet. It's something to just be aware of and to factor in. And like James had said, your potassium, you have an allowance, and that allowance is different from person to person. But when you find that out, that is gold. That is gold for you to know how much you can have, how much you get to spend in your diet when it comes to your potassium. So absolutely, you can enjoy pumpkin. I because it is moderate, it's higher in potassium. I typically like to recommend pumpkin flavored treats that have the pumpkin flavor, but aren't as high with pumpkin content as something like pumpkin pie. If you do pumpkin pie, keep it to a smaller slice. I know that Jessiana, you guys, I know she's been
Hmm.
on the show.
Yep, from the kidney RD.
Yeah, she has a great recipe for a pumpkin pie using a secret ingredient. So you could probably go to her
Ooh.
site and get that recipe, and hopefully she still has it up because it's been there up there for a couple of years.
What is
But
the
if you go
secret
to,
ingredient? It's not
I'm not gonna say,
squash.
I'm not gonna say.
I tell you, I do not like sweet potato pie, and I get tricked sometimes. Back in the day when there were buffets, they trick me. That sweet potato pie sitting there looked like a pumpkin pie.
Well, it's not sweet potato, so that's not it. But you guys will have to go check it out, and you can go find it too. And if you want to share it with people, but I'm not going to ruin the surprise. It's not for me to say.
I
Um,
will definitely look it up.
okay. But so think about other desserts that include a pumpkin flavor. You could do something like a pumpkin mousse, a pumpkin cheesecake. You could do, I'm trying like pumpkin flavored coffee, pumpkin cookies, pumpkin bread. I mean, you guys know pumpkin is everywhere now.
Pumpkin flavored
Like,
latte.
yeah, pumpkin everything, pumpkin pencils, pumpkin toilet paper. I'm sure it's out there. Like,
I'm sure it
I'm sure.
is.
Yeah. So my point is, you can find a way to put it into something, or you can find some things that are already made that include that pumpkin flavor. So it's less potassium because it's only including a certain amount of the pumpkin instead of a pumpkin pie that is like, what is it? I haven't made pumpkin pie in a long time. So like a whole can of the
All I
pumpkin
know is
filling.
Costco. It's the
Yeah.
biggest for the most money, or the least amount of money.
Yeah.
It's the
It's a
best bang
huge
for the
pie
buck.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do the Costco one, portion is essential for your potassium control there for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other things because I know there's so many. I do have
Ooh,
a
someone
few
asked. Oh,
pumpkin
it happened to be
recipes.
my mom asked, "What about pumpkin butter?" I love pumpkin butter. Somebody makes it, and it's got cinnamon and pumpkin
Hmm.
flavoring in it. Oh, it's
Hmm.
delicious.
And when you think about that kind of stuff, a lot of it that tastes so good comes from the spices. And you
Hmm.
can absolutely, I mean, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove, you can use all of those spices and incorporate them in different ways with different flavors. The apple butter, that one's another good one too. Apples, like it's apple season now, so that's another whole option, not pumpkin related, but still thinking about fall flavors and things that we want to enjoy. That's a great one too. So yeah, pumpkin flavored anything that gets folded into something that's really tasty and enjoyable. Absolutely. Just keep an eye on your portions.
Yeah, for like the next month and a half, we're gonna have tons of pumpkin stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Merrick, for my daughter's birthday, we're buying tiny pumpkins, not the teeny tiny ones, but the big ones for all the kids to decorate their own.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we have a few people that are pro pumpkin pie. Yay!
Well, I think that's definitely something. I'm trying to plug my phone in here. I think that's definitely something that should, if it's something that you want to have, that should be included. And again, just like the candy thing, you should plan for it because it's better to plan for it and account for it in your diet and in your potassium guidelines and your sugar guidelines than to say you're not going to have it, entirely avoid it, and then sit there at the table and be sad while everybody else is having some.
Yeah.
So if it's something that you want to have, factor that in and enjoy it.
Yeah. So here's some good news. I think I get to enjoy pumpkin pie more because my doctors have discovered I have something that causes my potassium to stay really low.
Hmm.
So they keep telling me, eat more potatoes, eat more bananas, more avocado. You need more potassium. And it looks like part of this, with my kidneys and something else, there's a long name for it. I can't remember what it was. But it looks like I get to eat more potassium. So maybe I will enjoy some more pumpkin pie this holiday season.
Hey, and that is such a great example that really proves how everybody with kidney disease, everybody's
Hmm.
different, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, James, if you were to jump in those Facebook groups, if you were to jump online and just take that low potassium restriction and just assume that that's what you had to do,
Hmm.
that is so dangerous for your health. High potassium is bad, low potassium is bad.
Yep.
And this, I mean, that's such a great example for everybody watching, for you to know that you can't assume the stuff that you find online is automatically for you unless it was written out, dear your name, because
Hmm.
of this situation that you have.
And Facebook's
Otherwise,
not your doctor.
exactly. Facebook is Facebook is tied with Dr. Google to me. Really, it's so close.
Dr. Google's scary.
Yeah.
I feel like the search engine, it looks up the results and says, what's the scariest ones? Let's put those first.
Yeah. I know. Well, I mean, they're going off of clicks, so people like to click the catchy headlines.
Yep. So we're getting to the top of the hour. Before I go in here and grab the questions that people have asked, are there any other tips or anything you have for enjoying the holidays and keeping our kidneys happy?
I would say we talked about, some sugars. Oh, I know what it is. Sugar-free candy. We didn't touch on this, and I know
Mm.
that's a really big thing too, especially because a few episodes ago we talked about diabetes and kidney disease. So sugar-free candy is not a get out of jail free candy card. I'm trying to figure
Can't
something
have all
clever
I
with
can
that.
eat?
Exactly. It is not the all you can eat candy buffet because it's sugar free. There is some evidence that sugar alternatives, sugar alcohol, artificial sugar substitutes can still give an increase in blood sugar and increase the risk of type 2 diabetes if it's largely consumed. And the thought behind that is that even though it's a little bit lower calorie, people do tend to be a little more generous with themselves, thinking it's sugar free, so it's okay, so they have more, and then they end up gaining weight, and that increases their risk of diabetes. So it still kind of circles around to show that potential risk, especially with the non sugar substitutes. So
Yep.
sugar free candy could be a good option. It's still going to be in moderation. Okay. And it's not just for people who have diabetes. If you just want, or if you're looking to cut down on the sugar in your diet, remember we talked about the calories or teaspoons per day. If you're looking to cut down on that, just a few candy swaps to do a couple sugar-free candies might be something that's helpful for you. But like James had mentioned, it can cause some stomach upset issues. So you
Hmm.
want to be careful with that. And if you are sensitive to sugar alcohols or sugar substitutes, be aware that that might be a symptom that you experience. So sugar-free candies still a possible option, but also still something to keep in moderation.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, if you're not familiar with what it could do to your stomach, go to Amazon, read the reviews for sugar-free gummies. You're going to be rolling on the floor laughing. These people describe it pretty comedically of what can happen.
Oh man, Amazon review, just reading those sometimes, like what a fun pastime.
Here's a great question. This is one of my dad's favorites, and I completely forgot about it for the holidays. Eggnog. What's your thoughts on
Oh,
eggnog?
eggnog, the traditional eggnog, super, super heavy, high in potassium because it's coming from a dairy product, higher in phosphorus because it's absorbed more from dairy products. I tend to prefer the plant-based alternatives. They're a lot lighter. They're not as thick or creamy. So if you're used to that really thick, creamy taste, if you want to enjoy it but cut down, you could even kind of doctor up your own and mix a little half and half of each of them, traditional and plant-based, to kind of cut it down and get used to the thinner one. But eggnog is going to be high in potassium, high in phosphorus because of that high dairy content of being from that whole milk.
No, very good. Here's a question that I would love to know. I think we've talked about it before, but I can't remember the answer. About honey. Is honey a good sugar substitute?
I think honey is a great option. I mean, we've talked about it it can help with, if you get local honey, that it's
That's
potentially
right.
helpful for allergies. So if you want to do some local honey, support a local bee farmer. I think that is really good. And honey, of course, has its own flavor. So it has that a little bit of a floral. I mean, you can taste honey compared to like table sugar or something. Like, there's that flavor difference. But you can absolutely use that as a substitute. I think that's fine. It still is going to be high in sugar, so still something to keep the portion, the moderation in check.
Mhm.
But you can absolutely have some honey.
I completely forgot about helping with the allergies. With fall here, this is the time of year that my allergies kind of act up.
Mm,
And sneezing during COVID, not a good thing to do.
no, no,
You get the dirty looks.
you absolutely do. I'm I'm getting into the bad habit of, I have my mask on, and then I don't even go down to do the vampire cover, because I'm like, well, I'm wearing my mask. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what else I could do. Like, it's sealed around my face. I'm covered. But I really should continue to do that.
Yep. And look, we got a comment here about your plant powered kidneys course. Someone's doing really
Oh,
well.
good.
Bing, boom, boom, boom,
Good.
boom.
That's
Now,
great. I'm so happy to hear that.
yeah. And you, right before you started to move, you announced a new um, term, I guess, another set of
Yeah.
courses. Did those
Yeah.
get full? Those fill up yet?
Yeah, so the Plant Powered Kidneys course is the course that I launched right before I moved, and I was going to wait until after I moved, after I settled down. I just knew it wasn't going to be anytime soon. But I asked the people in the Facebook group, and I said, "What do you guys want? Because I'm going to be moving. I won't be able to do the cooking videos. It's going to be I dropped the price a lot because I couldn't do that stuff.
Right.
But they said, no, we want it now. And so, because there was a really good overwhelming response of people saying, I want to do this now, I don't want to wait. That's why I decided to launch it right before my move and open it up for a week for people to enroll. So it is closed now. Enrollment is closed, but I will, as I do every time in between the openings, I go through, I update the content, I refresh things, I add new recipes, and I will make updates. And once you enroll, so who I didn't see the name, but whoever commented, if you once you
Oh, I can
register
bring
for
it back up
PPK,
here. Boom.
okay, I have to look really close. J Scott R. Okay, so once you're in PPK, once you're registered, like you're in right now, you are registered for life. This is not something you have to re-enroll in the next time. You are in, you are good, you're set. And every time I make an update, you're in it. So like I said, right now, enrollment is closed. But come next year, once I open it again, I'll definitely let you all know when that is open. But I'm so happy to hear that. They're only in week 2?
Yeah,
They're
you
in
got
week
someone
2 right
else
now. Oh,
commenting on
good.
the online
Oh,
course
that's
is
great.
so
No,
helpful and
no.
I'm enjoying it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we had about 100 people enroll, which is really phenomenal. And it's just I'm so proud. I'm so proud of this group. And as it continues to grow, and we have people that are in the program that have taken it from the past times, and they get to learn their new content and refresh everything. It's so wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. So I'm very excited for it. And it's my baby. It's my baby.
Awesome. Now, one more question before we end tonight. Right here. How important is watching your oxalates when you're eating?
So the oxalates, it's not going to apply to everybody. For number one, it will apply to people who are at risk for calcium oxalate stones, kidney stones. So not just kidney stones, but calcium oxalate stones. So if you need to watch your oxalates because you develop kidney stones, that's the number one thing. So some of the high oxalate foods are like spinach and almonds, So the things that sometimes we traditionally think of as really good for you, something to include if you're watching oxalates, you want to be careful with those foods. But there's also some potentially new research about oxalate with PKD. That's polycystic kidney disease. So you might want to look a little bit more into that. That's still kind of new research coming out. So it's not, again, like we said earlier, with nutrition studies and all this kind of research, it has to be repeated and it has to be run several times for it to be proven and for me to come out and say, yes, absolutely, this is what you should do. So I'm cautious, and I'm just always very hesitant about restricting foods from you guys. I don't want to tell you to cut something out unless we absolutely know that is not good for you. So like we said, star fruit, black licorice, those are not good options for you. So other than that, it's going to be case by case basis. So long story short, or longer, I guess, however long you let me rant, the oxalates are still going to be based on what's going on with your kidney health. So talk with your doctor about getting a referral to a dietitian. My last live that I just did in the Facebook group, I also went on a little bit of a rant there about that, because the KDIGO guidelines, these are the kidney disease outcome guidelines, the things that your doctor, your nephrologist should be following, recommends that everybody sees a renal dietitian. So if you throw out in your conversation with your nephrologist and say, well, the KDIGO guidelines, and they're going to be like, what have you been watching? What have you been researching? They're going to, like, you're
Something
using
good.
their lingo. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're using their lingo to tell them, like, I know that it's recommending that you send me to a dietitian. So you can put that out there and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody about my diet. Can you get me to a dietitian? And according to KDIGO, it is recommended, it's highly encouraged that everybody with kidney disease sees a dietitian.
Awesome. I agree 100%. Even if you're at the early stages, it at least helps you learn about nutrition and helps you not be afraid of eating and worried that you're, eating a banana is going to hurt you. So even just seeing them for a few times to learn at the early stages could be all a person needs until their kidneys, decline further, and maybe they'll learn enough to slow it down or halt it.
Yeah, and from my experience, I find that people who come to me the earlier have the more opportunities to do more for their kidneys. It gets stickier when we wait too long and we wait until the last minute. We wait until the doctor says it's time to start dialysis, because then our options are much more limited and there are more restrictions that we have to be paying attention to. So the sooner the better that you can jump in and see somebody. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here, and thank you, Jen, for being back. It's been awesome. So good to have you back.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
If you haven't subscribed, go to YouTube, click the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. We are so close, so close. Can't wait to get there, because then YouTube sends me a plaque, a silver play button, and I'll hang it up on the wall. I'll put a real wall back here, not this fake green screen one. Now, tomorrow night, I'm live again. Got Dr. Butt back. We are going to talk about dialysis. If you need dialysis, what's the right kind of dialysis for you? How do you make the decision? And then on Thursday, boom, another day later, another live show. We got another renal dietitian from Flavus. Flavus is a company. I'm going to talk about them. They make kidney-friendly foods, all sorts of snacks and pastas and stuff like that. We're going to do a cooking video and make a Italian dinner using some Flavus pasta that's kidney-friendly. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow night and Thursday. And Jen will be back here next week for more great stuff. And make sure, check out her Facebook page, Plant Powered Kidneys. Tons of great stuff there. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.